Hello and welcome back to another Digging the Game. Now, I have to say, this has been a bit of a surprise hit series so far. The first, I guess, and only video, in addition to this one, received loads of views in a matter of days. Liv and I were quite overwhelmed. Like 27,000 in a matter of 3 days. So it was quite popular, and therefore we thought we would follow it up. And someone actually in the comments there asked specifically if we could do what we hinted we might, and that is look at Witcher 3. Now, I don't own Witcher 3, but Liv does. So, hello, Liv.
Hello.
And where exactly are we?
We are in a village outside of the city of Novigrad.
Okay.
And I'm going to show you on the map real quick. We're here in Blackbough. And if you zoom out, you can see more of the city.
Okay.
Or, well, the countryside, really. So that's where we are at the moment. It's one of the bigger villages in this part of the region. So it has a smithy and stuff like that.
Okay. Now, this Witcher series, I've been led to believe, is developed by a Polish team.
Yes, exactly, and it's based on a Polish book series, also known as The Witcher.
And I mean, and does the books have any roots, as far as you know, in real history or real folklore? Or?
It's heavily based on Eastern European and Nordic European folklore.
Okay.
But I wouldn't say it's historical.
No.
More than any other medieval fantasy.
Okay. So people should expect to see lots of things that you don't see in the real world.
Yeah, like ghouls and vampires and dragons. Oh, not so many dragons, but wyverns. There's a difference. We also have werewolves, mandrakes. Yeah, name it, it's in here, probably somewhere.
Okay. Well, let's take a look around then. This particular village. So you seem to be on a bit of a fork in the road.
Yeah, exactly. We have fast traveling points that come up in these kind of forks near people or villages or important places. So right by the crossroad, so to speak, we have the village merchant. Who sells herbs and stuff like that. Okay.
Now, are these things which you can gather in the landscape, or?
Yes, exactly. You can also scavenge as the player in the game and sell stuff to merchants to gain coin.
Right. Okay.
And we can also see the local fashion.
Yeah, I was going to say that guy looks like. I have to say, he looks a little bit like a holidaymaker from the 70s in Britain.
I would also say that there is a distinct difference in fashion between the city and the countryside in this game.
Okay. Yeah. So, I have to say, well, immediately, the first thing that strikes me is there's a heck of a lot of very pale people around. And one of the few things that I know about this game is it has been criticised for its lack of ethnic diversity, shall we say.
Yes.
Is that a reasonable criticism, do you think?
I would say that it is. I mean, the world has other people than super white Caucasians.
Mm-hmm.
There is Sarkania, which is a state in the south that you mainly trade with. That's kind of the North African Mediterranean region, if you were going to relate it to this world.
Okay.
But you don't meet one Sarkanian merchant in the game. There is one person of color since the new DLC came out.
Okay.
They added a merchant.
A merchant.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, and this is, I suppose, this is something which, I suppose, as we look around the village, something which I think is something which lots of people tend to assume about, especially in medieval Europe, is that there was a lack of diversity. I mean, I know archaeologists actually who think that somehow Witcher 3 in particular is an excellent representation of medieval Europe, and yet there's lots of evidence for people moving great distances, people setting up shops in towns and cities where they weren't born, and frankly, going back to the Bronze Age, we have people travelling from the Mediterranean up to Cornwall just to get tin.
Yeah.
So, but then again,
to Sweden as well. So
yeah, in Sweden as well, absolutely. And so, but then again, I suppose we're not talking about the real world here. We are talking about the computer games. So, so this the layout of this village. Then, what is that thing that's on the pole then to your left?
There, it's one of those kind of keepsake houses where you can put food and stuff like that. Or is it? No, it seems like to be a pigeon house.
Oh, a dovecot.
But it does look a lot like the kind of storage that you could have in this kind of village.
Okay.
Where you put it up above the ground to keep it from the wild animals. But this is apparently for keeping pigeons, which can be used for food, but also for mail. Sorry,
yes, to sending messages. Yes, of course, yeah. So yes,
mail services.
Do you write on the pigeon and then?
But I took us up to the local smithy. We can see here. So the blacksmith lives in this house, and then he does his work out here. With a smelter and an anvil and stuff.
And actually, it's quite good. It's quite good in that sense. Placement for the blacksmith, because he is on the edge of the village, and therefore, if he burns his house down, he's hopefully not gonna burn anyone else's house down.
No, exactly. And you can also see that the smithy is located near the well of the city or village, so it would be easy access to get water if any accidents happened.
Yeah, excellent. Okay.
You can also see that, his house is much more separated from the rest of the village houses than most of them are. Otherwise, they're pretty close.
Yeah, and they all seem to be that sort of standard, sort of wooden with thatched roofs and maybe a hole in the roof for some smoke.
Yeah, I would say that they are very similar to a longhouse that you can find in Sweden from a long time back, since we started building houses.
Absolutely, I think the layout and the structure of this thing, I guess, again, thinking about it archaeologically, is quite interesting, because these sorts of dwellings, I guess, wouldn't leave that much evidence.
No, you would have the pole holes.
Absolutely, yeah.
Put the poles. We can go in and look also, because there's quite interesting. You can see this is more of a medieval layout, I would say, rather than a Iron Age one, because they don't have their animals inside.
Yeah, but also it sort of seems to have become a cabin inside. And on the outside, it's a longhouse. It is very, very interesting, actually. And I guess this is where you can start to get in. It's a very interesting place to be, because we're not only seeing historically, I don't know, recognizable features, but we're also starting to actually see how it is that, I guess, modern people imagine these things were. So in the same way that you can possibly criticize diversity of, for example, skin color, you can also start to in the real world start to sort of think, but it is interesting though that this is in many ways people sort of think that the medieval world, a little bit, I suppose, like the Roman world, was in some way condensed down to this sort of pastiche of different elements, where so in the house, people still, when they design these houses in the computer game, they still want it to feel like a house with rooms and sections and beds and this kind of thing, whereas in reality it probably would have had much more like maybe one big room with a a sort of a wattle fence to keep the pig at one end of the house. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, and here we can see like a little patio, almost.
Yeah.
With a trough. So I would say that this is where they keep the animals due to the water trough.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting kind of representation.
No, absolutely, but also it's one of those weird things where, and I think as this series goes on, we're going to get better at separating real world archaeology from archaeogaming, as it's called. But it is interesting actually that at this stage, one of the most fruitful things that you can do is simply make direct comparisons between what we know about real world archaeology and what we know about, or also rather what we're being presented with in a computer game.
Yes, absolutely.
But I have to say, just out of curiosity, what does Thunderbolt do? I keep on looking at that word on the screen.
It's a potion that enhances my reflection, or reflexes.
Enhances okay.
Not my reflection.
Enhances my reflection.
Yeah, makes me more sparkly. My reflexes and attack times.
Okay.
Swallow enhances my health.
Okay. Enhanced swallow.
But do you want to? I think I will take us to the crossroad now, so we can take a look at another very interesting part.
Okay.
In the landscape. If you're okay with that.
Well, what if I'm not?
Well, I'm just going to go back then.
I have to say, I do like the layout of the map is interesting. Again, it's one of those ones which is, you get these maps at the beginning of, say, Conan the Barbarian and Tolkien and all this kind of thing, where they're not really necessarily. I imagine geologists must look at these sorts of things and cringe a little bit. But it's a very believable fantasy world map.
Yes,
definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
I also like that you get like questions mark where there is stuff that you haven't discovered yet.
Yeah, if only life was like that, wouldn't that be wonderful?
I would enjoy that. I just logged into Google Maps and was like, oh, I missed something here.
Yeah, it'd be great. Okay, cool. So you're going to Hanged Man's Tree.
Yeah, I'm just going so we can take a look at the border patrol and the Hangman's Tree.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it has its name for a reason.
Yeah, that's lots of men
hanging.
Yeah. There's a park nearby actually to us where people hang shoes, but that's much more thematic.
Decent.
Yeah.
I was thinking.
Oh, and then behind you, what did they run out of tree space, so they started hanging people on poles?
Yeah, they do.
So where's that?
It's down here.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so now it's worthwhile, I suppose, just reiterating because we were talking about this earlier, that this is a landscape which is racked by war.
Exactly. We're handling at the moment in the game civil war and the invasion of another empire.
Right.
So there's a lot of war going on.
Now, how do you think that's been handled then in the game? Because in the real world, especially real world archaeology, what you tend to see is either not all that much evidence for this stuff, or actually that suddenly you can get great swathes of new material culture, new features in the landscape. For example, earthworks or the remnants of battles.
I think it's handled rather good. Because you see, well, first of all, there is evidence of war in the landscape. We have burned down villages, we have battlefields that you come across, where people are literally just still there dead, and looters and scavengers trying to profit whatever they can from the war.
Hmm.
We also have military camps and how people. Oh, here's a battlefield, so we can take. You see what I mean?
So do you think that in some ways that this portrays, I suppose, an element of that kind of landscape which is easy to overlook?
Absolutely. I mean, it wouldn't leave a lot of traces.
No.
But it definitely would. And we also have this occupying force who either burns down settlements that won't come quietly, so to speak. But we also have like small militia groups living in the forest, which wouldn't leave much traces at all because they're living in tents.
Yeah. And actually, it's interesting. Again, this is the sort of thing that this really speaks to how well, in that sense, well designed this game is, because this highlights that this sort of stuff does happen now, but did happen around battlefield sites where maybe, a basic thing would be jewelry or clothing would be looted from a battlefield, but then other things like fillings or teeth, in fact. So these people who are just profiting, I suppose, off this.
Absolutely, and also you can see here at the end of the battlefield we come down to the border patrol, so to speak, into Novigrad, which is kind of a city-state and one of the last so-called free cities from the occupation.
Okay, so these guys are they're taking advantage of
No, these I would say are refugees.
no, sorry. I mean the people managing this border are using an island to filter the refugees.
Absolutely, and trying to stem the flood of refugees coming to Novigrad.
Right. Okay.
So here you have traders, you have refugees. Basically, to get into the city, you need to have a passport, which you are given in the game by someone of influence. And here we can also see people like hanging out on the bridge, just waiting to get passage.
Are those more people hung from above the gate?
Yeah.
Wow, these guys really love their hanging.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very effective way to tell people to behave.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I was trying to think of it.
I mean, I wouldn't try to sneak past those people.
No. Yeah. Blimey.
Here we can also see, yeah, exactly, poor people hanging out, and then we have the soldiers. So normally, if I hadn't been here before, I would have to show him my passport to be let through.
Okay.
And then you enter a kind of military camp that you have to go through to get into, well, the other side.
And again, actually, the way that this has been managed in terms of design is very, very good, very effective. I mean, but also it's the type of thing that you do see in the real world. I mean, there was a town where Mrs. Soup and I were a couple of weeks ago in County Durham, where because of the history of the county, it had a very particular relationship with taxes and things. Basically, the Bishop of Durham was charged with defending parts of England from Scotland. So he could have an army, he could raise taxes, he could do all sorts. So people would actually go halfway across this bridge to leave the county technically to do certain deals. So these zones, these areas where actually you're halfway between one and the other. And in this case, an island is very helpful because it's literally. I imagine this is possibly. Well, I don't know. Is this classed as being anywhere, or is this kind of nowhere?
I would say if we look at the map, it's just named as border post. And you can't get into. If you see here, it's Valen, which is the part of the rural part of town, or the area, and then we have Novigrad, which is on the other side here. So when you cross the border post, you actually change areas in the game. And as you can see, we have soldiers on this side too, making sure that people don't get out as easy as well.
So yeah, it's a very controlled space. And okay. So are those boats which have been used to make a bridge?
Yes, it is.
Very
which
cool.
is very nifty.
Yeah, absolutely. But also, I suppose, actually speaks to the temporary nature of what's happening here. That's not a permanent solution.
No, I wouldn't say they spent ages laying these boats in the water.
Right. Okay.
But I would also say that if you look at the end or the beginning of the so-called bridge here, we see that it probably was a bridge before, but it has been torn down. Because you have the road going right way out in the water otherwise.
Yeah. No, I see. Okay. But again, that speaks to this landscape which is ravaged by war. Yeah. Okay.
So now we're officially in Novigrad.
Okay. Well, just at this point, I reckon this is a great opportunity to bring, I guess, what we're going to call part 1 of this video to a close. So thank you guys for watching, and part 2 will come fairly soon when we're going to go up into the city of Novigrad, and it's going to be interesting comparing, I guess, what we've seen in today's video with what
I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. So, as ever guys, until next time, do take care.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.